What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're about to get into it here in just a minute. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on. We're actually going to jump into some of the stats from tonight's game. We're going to talk about what we saw, what we thought, how we did, how they did, and kind of how we got to where we ended up at the end of the game. So we're going to give everybody a few more minutes here to clean the old glasses real quick. Man, it was not a barn burner. That is for sure. Happy New Year, sir. We got that going on in about 45 minutes. We're going to have us a brief post-game show here. Pastor Dave said they did nothing, and they did it exceptionally well, sir. Fine with that. Apparently that cleaning cloth is not quite as clean as I thought it was. Because it's pretty dirty still. So, yeah. What's going on, Husker Gray? What's up, P Digits? Finkel is Einhorn. Congrats, Bulldogs fans. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you for the congrats, Husker Gray. The real TV says congrats. We will be ready for round 2. Have a good New Year's and that. We're going to do some of that too, don't you worry. But we are going to have us a brief post game here. I do want to talk about the stats. Let me get over to ESPN.com real quick. I use ESPN.com because it's pretty easy for everybody to get to, and nobody really argues about this game. This game was pretty much over from the first quarter on. Georgia scored more points in the first quarter than Michigan scored all game. The win probability of Georgia started out at about 70%, and then it didn't take it long for it to jump into the 90 percentile mark. Georgia was absolutely demolishing everything that Michigan was trying to do. We'll get into the box score stats here in a second. I got to close a bunch of these windows out. Nobody scored in the third quarter, which was kind of weird. It almost seemed like Michigan kind of made some adjustments, but it just wasn't enough. Stetson at one point was pretty efficient, and it seemed like he kind of got away from him. He threw 20 for 30 for 310 yards. You know, if you were going to come into that game and tell me Georgia's going to run for 310, throw for 310 and run for 190, and then that's the way that game would have played out, I'd have been really surprised. Shadow says, go Dogs. Pastor Dave says, Kirk said this morning it was good to have new blood in the playoff, and they got smoked. They did get smoked. Yes, I'll be buying an Orange Bowl shirt. I'll buy a game. Any big game like that, bowl game or whatever, I'll buy a shirt. I don't know how many Georgia shirts I've got. Typically, my wife will buy it for me, though. What do you think about Kirby not allowing the Gatorade bath? I like the mentality of it. The fact of the matter is he's like, look, it's not time to celebrate. We got a big game next week. We got to get up for. It's not time to celebrate. This is just a bump in the road. How about them fine dogs, sir? Yes, sir. Stats just say domination. I completely agree. What I don't see right now in the chat section is a whole lot of Michigan fans, and I don't expect to see any. Those guys are going to probably disappear for a while, and we'll see them the next time Georgia probably loses. They'll come back and they'll want to say something then, which is fine. And then we'll politely remind them how bad the SEC dominated them. Chad Arthur said last night Georgia was going to be the dog out of Michigan. Where's those Michigan fans now? They turn into ghosts real quick. Now, you'll get one or two that'll show up, but most will just flat out disappear. Cincinnati only had 218 yards. Michigan had 237 yards passing and 88 yards rushing. They couldn't move the ball. 3.3 yards. They did have some. They did have some explosive plays on offense, and that is where they got basically all their points from. Busted coverage is what happened. So one busted coverage and got Andrell Anthony in the end zone. And then I think they had one short rushing touchdown? Let's check. Oh, wait, they only had one touchdown. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. I should be more polite. I apologize. You guys put on Michigan put on a great game. You guys put on a great game. Thank you for driving all the way down to Miami after talking all that smack and getting run out of the Miami Stadium. About halfway through the fourth quarter, after Georgia scored that last touchdown, they got up and left. It was over. The only way to beat Georgia is your receivers have to show up. Absolutely. One of the things I will point out, I thought they were way too happy to score that touchdown there at the end of the game. 11 points. Congratulations. You scored 2 more points than every other team throughout the entire season. Michigan O-line was not prepared. It's not that they weren't prepared. They were just outclassed. I mean, you got a lot more talent on Georgia. And unfortunately, regardless of how you want to look at it, they were outcoached. They were outcoached. They were not prepared. I do think that there was a lot of pass interference calls against both teams that should have been called that were not called. They let them play. But if you're going to call those targeting calls like you called them, you need to be calling the pass interference calls. You just do. James Cook had a pretty good game. James Cook went for 32 yards rushing, but he went for 109 yards receiving. Our number one receiver was James Cook. Man, he had a great game. 4 guys, Brock Bowers, Jermaine Burton, Adonai Mitchell, and James Cook all had receiving touchdowns. So hats off to those guys. I think we missed 2 field goals. No, we missed 1 field goal. Jack Podlesny missed 1 field goal. It could have been 37. They made 2 field goals and 1 field goal and 1 PAT. Not PAT. They went for 2 T's. They were in the end zone so rare. It's hard for me to remember. Yeah. Brother BKL says, "What's up, Big Dog Brad? I'm glad for my dogs. What's your opinion next week against Bama? Part 2. Also, Happy New Year." Same to you, sir. A lot to say. Where is Pickens? That is a great question. George Pickens had 1 catch for 9 yards. I don't know why he's not playing. So, I mean, he's been out for a month, 2 months, 10 months. I don't know. Sumner LB. Part of that is that as far as him scolding Stetson, he's always teaching. He's always coaching. Coaches always coach. Teachers always teach. And that was one of those things that he gave the whole thing. He gave the whole thing apparently to Stetson at that point. He was like, all right, figure it out. And or maybe Kirby told him to do it and he didn't do it. And by the time he figured it out, it was too late. So I think Bennett hit his ceiling tonight. He showed out. He may have hit his ceiling tonight, but if he can play like that all the time, that's pretty solid. Defense came back tonight, showed up, played well. Sorry, but I don't see Pickens making a difference with no quarterback. Considering, let me put it to you this way, considering that Michigan has 2 of the best cornerbacks in all of college football, and Georgia turned him into a non-factor with Stetson Bennett throwing for over 300 yards, it's hard to say that. He averaged 10.3 yards a catch and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. If you do your job that well and the defense does their job, whether it's Pickens or not, it don't matter. When are they going to learn that when Cook lines up at wide receiver, the ball is going to be thrown to him? Hopefully never. Hopefully never. Brett, one more chance. Can't wait. Go Dogs. Fishing with Noodle. I almost said with the Noodle, but that would have been weird. Kirby coached under Saban. He is going to cuss folks. Well, that happens. I think he picks the wrong time to scold Stetson. I don't. I think it was the perfect time. I think the best time to scold somebody is whenever they're making the mistake. And then that way it's fresh in their mind. Getting flashbacks to Bama beating us deep with that last touchdown they got. Yeah, I saw that one pass that was like that. I felt the same way. I was like, I've seen this before. How about this? Natty time. Natty time. It's time to go to the Natty, baby. It's time to go to the Natty. So SEC proved again dominance. This is the second time they've had 2 SEC teams since the college football playoff has been around. 2 SEC teams in the national championships, which means 2 SEC teams had to get through the best teams of other conferences, proving the best conference is the SEC. Hate it, like it, doesn't matter, is what it is. Go Dogs. Go SEC. See you in Indy. Indeed. Natty, baby. That's right. But, I mean, this game was I'm sure Alabama will show up with a good game plan. There's no doubt. But I mean, this game start to finish was Georgia's. Georgia dominated this game. I mean, at time of possession, we'll look at team stats. So let's look at team stats real quick. Zamir White didn't have a game-breaking game. He 12 carries for 54 yards. It's kind of meh. James Cook had 4 receptions for 112 yards. That's outstanding. Total yards by Georgia, 521 yards. 0 turnovers. They played clean football on that aspect. Georgia, time of possession, 34 minutes and 10 seconds to Michigan's 25-45. Georgia had 21 first downs. Michigan had 16. Penalties were actually a little more heavily against Georgia. 5 penalties for 70 yards. Michigan had 4 penalties for 30 yards, even though they probably should have had somewhere around 11 or 12 counting the pass interference, and they would have been negative yards pretty much on the night if they'd actually called those. That's just my opinion. Georgia ran the ball 35 times. Michigan only 27. Georgia rushed the ball 8 more times than Michigan and had double the yards, 190 to 91. Yards per pass. Georgia had 10.7. Michigan had 6.6. This was a strength versus strength competition, and Georgia did what it does and stopped the rush. They rushed for 3.4. Georgia rushed for 5.4. So Georgia was more dominant in the pass game and the rush game. We absolutely handled it as far as the turnover margins go, 3-0. No turnovers for Georgia, 3 turnovers for Michigan. Georgia was better on third down efficiency. They were north of right at 60%, somewhere in there. Georgia's fourth down efficiency, 1 for 1. Michigan was 0 for 3. Third down efficiency for Michigan was less than 50%, a little better than 50%, 8 for 15. Georgia had 21 first downs. Michigan had 16. Completions, 21 to 31. And ready for this, 18 to 36, a 50% completion margin. Apparently, Georgia has cleaned up its defense as far as the secondary a little bit. But again, McLemore is not Bryce Young. So, yeah, there's that. So at the end of the day, Georgia came out, played well. Georgia's a bad team. Georgia's a terrible team. Barely escaped that game. No reason for Georgia to have won that game the way they did. That it's complete SEC biased. So yeah, no. Now I am hyped up because we won the game, and there was a lot of fans out there that was trash talking. So that's for them. I got to give them their little piece of the pie back. Here's your crow. Enjoy it. Now that having been said, Michigan's a good football team. They played sound football tonight. They were out there playing well. Georgia made some mistakes at time, but Michigan just couldn't seem to capitalize on those mistakes. Anytime you have a game where you have 3 or 4 turnovers, it's really hard to be competitive. Georgia's defense was playing lights out. They were tuned up and keyed up for the run. Nakobe Dean had Haskins' number written on his helmet. Anytime you saw Haskins in motion, Nakobe Dean was on the fast track to stop that. If that's the case, when you're spying a guy that hard and you got a guy like Nakobe Dean, it's really, really difficult to move the ball. And happy birthday to you at midnight, Chiquita. Happy New Year to all of those out there that's still awake and going to celebrate. So can Georgia win it all? Can Kirby be smart? He can. We can. They can. So we'll see what happens. Hope you know Georgia gets a ring for winning the Orange Bowl. Yes, and we also have one for the Rose Bowl as well, sir. Redemption at the Natty. Yes, sir. That would be nice. Now everybody loves Stetson again. Laughing out loud. Not me. How many revenges will Georgia need? As many as it takes. As many as it takes. I figured, and a lot of people figured that Georgia was going to be in a national championship. I think that it showed tonight that even though you let a Power 5 school in, they were completely outclassed. And even though you let a Big Ten champion in to a one-loss SEC team, that they still were pretty far from where the SEC is. Rematch time, no matter what happens, no damn excuses. Don't say, I don't know what the rest of it means. Kirby got 2 sugars, an orange, and a rose. Not need the natty. Yeah, we need the natty. I need the natty. I would trade all those games for a natty. Rick James, appreciate the $5 super chat, sir. I don't know if you just want to support the channel or if you just didn't get your thing typed in, man. But if you want to type it in there, we'll put it up on the screen. Jacob Ben Judah says, "Come on, Brett. You know you want to say it. Go." Oh, I'm not about to get into no politics, sir. Not getting that. You almost got me. That's why it was funny. I hate my two favorite teams are playing. No, you don't. If you're gonna have two favorite teams, you want to see those guys play in a big game together. That way, no matter who loses, you win. Don't say any stuff like everyone was getting over the flu or the QB on the field was the wrong one. As long as we don't have those problems, I won't say those things. They're not excuses. Excuses means that the game doesn't matter. An excuse when you go into school, you get an excuse. That means being excused doesn't matter, right? You did, Contreras, you did. But the loss matters. Obviously, it matters. Well, Yakisaki Sumo. Normally, I would agree with you, but whenever we've had what we've had through the COVID protocols, they've made allowances for that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's obvious that can play a factor. I don't want any team to play any other team whenever they're not at 100%. That's why I don't like when players get hurt. I wish Mechie wasn't hurt. I really do. I wish he was at his very best. Georgia's going to have one player who's going to be out the entire first half due to a targeting call, which was completely nonsense, but in my opinion. Pastor Davis has hit the thumbs up. He is both accurate, correct, and generous. We appreciate that, sir. You guys feel free to hit the super chat button. You guys can share. There's also a PayPal link sticking around. Some if you guys want to. My printer just turned off for no reason. You guys want to join the PayPal team there, you can do that as well. Next season, we will also be doing a Patreon account. You can become a member to the channel as well. So, yeah. Appreciate that, Yakisaki Sumo. I appreciate you being here. LSU fan says, if Georgia doesn't finally beat Bama, I'm in the title game this year with that team. It's never happening. Man, stop trolling. You're killing me. Georgia got a receiver out also. That is true. I did see Jermaine Burton. He'd been on a milk carton for a while, though. Hit the like button, people. Thank you. Go Dogs going to the Natty. It's nice to be going to the national championship in a week. It really is. I'm excited about it. But I would be lying to you guys if I didn't say there's a little bit of nervousness and stigma that comes along with that just because we're playing Bama. I mean, it is what it is. Brooks had way more wide receiver yards than Williams today. That was true. Brooks looked really good today, especially that one catch downfield where he got blasted and just barely made the pylon. That was a really good heads-up play by him to get out across the goal line like he did. Bama will beat Georgia again. Sorry, bro. Roll Tide. Well, here's what it is. What needs to change for the Bama game? Georgia still got to continue to improve on its secondary. Georgia has got to find a way to consistently get the ball to its playmakers. I know we threw for 300-something yards tonight, but for me, Stetson Bennett, this was the game of his career, in my opinion. This is the best game he's ever thrown. This is the best game he's ever had. His completions percentage was 66.7%, which is pretty much the best he's ever done in conference play. In non-conference play. And no, I got it backwards. Jeez, tired. So versus AP opponents, he throws for 64. Non-conference, he throws for 69.6. In December, I guess that's December, 60.4%. He averaged his next to highest average ever. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is the only team and ranked team I think he hasn't thrown an interception against. I'd have to look into it though. But he had a great game tonight. Absolutely great game. You can't hold nothing against him. If he can play out this every game or improve on this, it's quality quarterback. Georgia doesn't have to have a Heisman Trophy candidate. It would be nice. What will happen with JT? He'll probably transfer. I don't blame him if he does. Cincinnati ran 3.35. I said that the whole time. I was like, Alabama's just going to run the ball. Y'all were killing them with the run. Killing them. They couldn't stop it. That whole first drive, Alabama was like, we're going to run the ball right up the gut, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. You broke their soul on the first drive, in my opinion. Scotty Lutz, hold on, hold the phone, shut her down, start it up again. He says, Gators fan here, hate to say it, but congrats to your team on advancing to the national championship. Hats off to you, sir. One of the few Florida fans I like. Bryce had an off game for him. Bennett had his best. Look for Bryce to bounce back with a great game. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be a good game no matter what. We got to go into that Bama game like we ended in the SEC stifling on D. Yeah. Yep. Georgia D came out and looked pretty good tonight. Really did. There were numerous 3-and-outs. Georgia was Brandon Robinson, 204 yards rushing. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Roll Tide, roll Bowers is the truth. Shaking my head. CVC Tyrese. How you doing, sir? Jet Mech says Georgia just seems to have gotten better. This was their best performance of the year. I would agree. This was the one game this season where you can't say that the team they played was overrated. You can't say that the team that they played was bad or any of those things because Michigan was a dominant team all year. They won their championship. They got over the hump of beating OSU. They played Georgia, and it wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. What's up, Raj? Doing Jesse J. Doing, sir. Georgia won't make the same mistakes they did. It's statistically speaking, it's pretty difficult to beat the same team 2 games. Beat the same team twice in the same season. Beat the same team twice in the same season. Yeah, that's what it said. Roll Tide, big dog. Should be a great rematch. Congratulations. Thank you. Same to you guys, sir. Hats off to the Alabama fans and the Alabama football team and their coaching staff for putting themselves back in the natty again. Chase Harvey says, for the love of God, I hope we figure out our problem on getting beat deep. If they go into that game beating us deep, that's a fat loss, possibly. Cincinnati got exposed for all we knew them to be. Cincinnati really did get beat badly. Both of these games were 21-plus point margins. And, I mean, it just, there's not a whole lot you can say. Michigan loses by 23. Cincinnati loses by 21. Both of those teams combined didn't break 20 points. Just not good. Ooh, Eric Odom said, I won 1,000 on Georgia tonight. I would have been more impressed if you'd have said that with an impressive super chat. But, hey, I'm just saying. You're going to brag on how much money you got and leave me hanging. Good night. Well, you see how they treat me. You see how they treat me. What's up, Jennifer Barty? See you again, big dog. Hope the best team wins. Indeed. The SEC top is better than the Big Ten top. No doubt about it. Congrats on a beatdown from a Bama fan. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good thing Michigan had McCarty, huh? Oh, and Hutchinson. Did Hutchinson even get a tackle tonight? Woo! UGA needs to do what LSU did. Send the house on Bryce Young. Give him time to throw, and you won't have to worry about the secondary as much. Don't give him time to throw. I agree. There were times tonight whenever Bryce Young, when they could get pressure on him, that he did make some bad throws trying to get rid of the ball. But I think that's any quarterback. I think Joe Burrow is probably the only quarterback I've seen in 5 or 6 years that even under pressure, he is such a consistent performer. I want to see a good, clean game. May the best team win. Respect, but roll tide. Appreciate that, Paul. No, I agree. LSU fan looks like he entered the UGA transfer portal. That's a possibility. We're taking applications. Yeah. I wonder, does Cincy losing proves the committee point by not really putting a group of 5 teams? It should. It absolutely should. Just like Notre Dame shouldn't get in. Every time they get in, they get demolished. Brett with the David Green jersey. Somebody recognized it. How about that, man? Not many people know that. Not many people know that. David Green's one of my favorite players. Glory, glory to Georgia and with Michigan. That's what they were singing in the stands. Michigan fans were oddly frustrated by the ice. Glad the game is not in Atlanta. Man, tell me about it. I'm so glad it's in Indianapolis. It's not here. Thank you, Lord, it's not here. Anyone know what the prices are going to be for tickets to the Natty? Might have to dip into the college fund. Could be worth it. Let me check for you. Let me check to see. Tickets to the National Championship 2021. Ooh, let's go to shopping. Ooh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Let's back it up. Let's go all. Buy and sell them on the Stub Hub. Ooh, oh, this is 2022. This is 2022. Oh, it is a 2022. Only 6 tickets left at the lowest price of $899. So if you hurry, you can get you one. There's 6 left. Woo. Sam Wright nailed it. Hobnailed it. Hobnail boot. The most common phrase heard in Michigan house was, what happened? This was a Georgia we've seen all season. This was a dominant performance. What's up, Vic 2? I didn't see you in here, brother. I'm sorry about that. It's 2021 for the next 19 minutes. It is. I'm fixing to jump off because I got fireworks to go light off with my kids and whatnot. 2 blowouts today. Is playoff extension necessary? Yes, because it makes the other bowl games more relevant. Who knew we had Joe Montana in the first half? Good job, Bennett. Yeah, what happened in the second half, though? I don't know. We scored 27 points in the first half and then stagnated in the second half. That scares me. Cincinnati deserved to get in, and they lost it, and it wasn't close. 13 of 16 semifinal games haven't been close. Several national championship games haven't been close. No one else can get in. I agree. I think if you're 13-0 at that point in the season, you probably should be in the championship, especially if nobody else – or not championship, the playoffs, especially if nobody else is undefeated. This proves Will Anderson should have been the Heisman instead of Hutchinson. I agree. Not a UGA or Bama fan, but I wonder if non-SEC fans think that the SEC is overrated. After watching today's 2 games, they shouldn't. I'm not saying anything about Alabama. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much a breakdown in a nutshell, guys. Yeah, overrated SEC has 2 teams in the title game. There you go, LSU fan. Hold on. Put that up there for you. Kevin Ron Harris says a great one, Georgia. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And this statement right here, LSU fan, is the exact sentiment of what all SEC fans should have been saying this year whenever Georgia and Alabama played in 2017. Here we are just a few years ago, a few more years down the road. Here we are doing it again. Yeah, so in reality, what does BDB think of Georgia's chances to win it all? I think it's a 50-50 chance. I mean, I really do. I think both teams have the capability. I think it really depends on which team shows up for both teams. If both teams show up at full power, it's going to be a nail biter. If both teams show up and play their worst games, it's going to be a nail biter. But if either team has an average game and the other team has a bad game, the average team's going to win. And in years past, it hasn't been that way. An average Alabama team in years past could beat most teams on a good day. Like, an average Alabama team in years past could beat Florida on their best day. But I don't think that's the way that's going to go this year. Georgia will get steamrolled for a second time. Maybe. But hey, Georgia, the only fans right now that don't want to swap places with Georgia fans are Alabama fans. And Alabama fans are used to playing in these big games. So you guys are going to talk trash about everybody. So it doesn't bother me. Happy 22K. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it the 22K. Be safe out there. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time tuning in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You can subscribe to my channel, Big Dog Brett. You can also subscribe to simulcasting on Voice of College Football SEC, Voice of College Football Georgia channel. Go check out Mark Rogers TV. Search for it on YouTube. You'll be able to find him, no problem. Great content over there. We'll be doing more on that stuff, more on that channel coming up. There was a lot of trash talk about Michigan fans about the bowl results. Going to tell them to cheer up because Purdue beat Tennessee. You do that. Georgia going to win because they are not going to eat the yummy rat poison. Kirby has to win this game. Too much riding on it. Happy 22K. Yeah, appreciate it. You think OSU fans want to switch positions with UGA fans when was the last natty for Georgia? As of right now, yes, you guys wish you were Georgia because Georgia is clearly a better team than you are, even if you have 30 national championships in your pocket. Georgia not only won a playoff game, they're in the national championship game. Yeah, and they beat the team that beat you. So, you still have hope Kirby would change quarterback. Not at this point. I would not want him to change quarterbacks at this point. I would not want to see Stetson Bennett in the national championship game unless he has to. He's too rusty. It's been too long. Mark did pick Michigan. Yeah, well, that's what it is. All right, guys, I'm out. We really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share. Stick around. We're going to do a whole lot more. Have a great day. God bless. Good job. Go Dogs.